Welcome, residents, to the Dr. DC podcast. My name is producer Richard, and across from me is the doctor himself.
I've got fucking Marine Land in my head.
Listen to this week's Ghostfacers. I wish more people could get these jokes.
Yeah, it's just for us and Stump.
I mean, truly, yeah. But what's up?
Hey, no, I said he wouldn't make it out of February. Get out of here, self-conscious cool guy. Let's take it again. Just throw it to me.
And across from me is the doctor himself.
What's up?
Oh my God, Devil Maycare.
Yeah, that's me.
Dr. Maycare.
Dr. Maycare.
Oh
I mean, that's sort of my approach to the podcast.
I mean, that's your approach to most things.
I may care.
Yeah, unless you really care.
Even then.
I mean, your family.
Oh, yeah, I care about them.
Each week we talk about the weird and wonderful world of DC while fielding questions from listeners like you.
Baby.
Oh, and this is the episode I've been waiting for.
Yeah, I have some thoughts.
Yeah. Time for some controversy.
No. You also said your character wouldn't make it out of February.
I think you said that. I didn't say that.
I mean...
Are you going to speak for me now?
Are you saying I don't?
I mean, when have you ever been able to stop me?
I think we both know who wears the pants on the podcast here.
Neither of us.
Yeah. we're both Donald Duck in it.
Last night I found out that I could make a sound that sounds kind of like a seahorse.
Okay. How would you... Wait, sorry, hang on. What does a seahorse sound like?
Well, I don't know if it has a sound.
Then but, how do you... Okay, you do the sound. I mean... Listen, I hate to give credit, but it does... Yeah, I get it. I get it, but I can't explain why.
My girlfriend was just like, I like this. Let's name it the seahorse. I was like, okay. Yeah. And she was like, Spirit. I'm like, that sounds like a fucking land horse.
What, like, yeah, the stallion of the Cimarron.
Yeah, all right. And so she was like, Sea Spirit, and I was like, yeah, hell yeah,
yeah. That's. I mean, that's how you make anything ocean.
Yeah. Sea.
Put sea in front of it.
Yeah. But yeah.
I mean, yeah, it is kind of. Yeah.
It's a seahorse.
Fuck.
Blah, 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 blah.
Oh my God.
Adding some realism to it.
It's good.
Speaking of controversy.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Come at me if you think that's not a seahorse.
C is for cum.
You think I'd give a shit what you think?
Yeah, we're talking about controversies in DC. So is that like controversies within the actual storylines as well as like as a publisher?
I mean, both. I threw it out there. Just like any form of controversy in DC. I think most of the questions we got are more kind of like real world on the publishing or about creators or about the reception of things, and less so about like in universe Batman was scandalized.
I mean, I kind of wish it was.
Yeah.
He really clutched his pearls, if you know what I mean.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, someone has to. They're not going to go down that drain.
Exactly. Yeah, you had to really pull them together.
Oh.
Let's get into the episode.
Oh my God, it's happening.
Facebook.
Go to the face and the book. Go to the Facebook.
First question comes from Kyle Sovey.
Oh yeah,
Kyle Sovey. In Soviet Kyle.
Yeah, I ask this.
Is this ask me?
Oh yeah, the question asks you.
Yeah.
Shit. Fuck.
I'm so glad we do this second. What's a DC controversy that made you the most uncomfortable? What made you clutch your pearls?
Oh. One that made me uncomfortable.
I mean, fridging.
Yeah, I mean, that just kind of that frustrates me. Like, I'm trying to think, like, what, like, I was like, ugh.
The
like,
actual fridging, though, like, doesn't.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I think part of this, too, is, like, so many of those are, like, maybe from before I was reading or before.
Sure.
So you visit them, you almost invariably visit them with the context.
Sure.
So for me to feel uncomfortable, I'd sort of have to, like, learn it in the moment.
Yeah.
And the one that comes to mind, and it's mildly controversial, is... Well, no, sorry. I shouldn't say mildly. I only say mildly because it's not like a grotesque murder.
Sure.
But it's the weird, like, making Barbara Gordon and Batman hook up thing.
Is that how she got it?
No. Absolutely not. Don't finish the thought. We all know what you were going to say, so you don't have to say it. We get it. We heard it. We heard it in our hearts and in our minds. We don't have to hear it in our ears. No. There's no amount of workshopping this that is going to save this. I know where you were going.
You tell.
This isn't good.
Is this where she got the name Oracle?
I kind of wish you'd said the other thing, actually.
Okay.
No. They even back to like when the animated shows were coming out, when Batman Beyond was coming out, it was in an episode of Batman Beyond that implied that Barbara and Bruce had a thing.
That's weird.
Because Barbara Gordon is the commissioner by the time of Batman Beyond. And at one point she and Terry are having like coffee or something, and she's like, yeah, Dick got tired of being, second fiddle to Batman. He went off and did something else, and I think he was a little jealous or whatever. And then there's this moment, and like Terry goes like, "Oh," and Barbara's like, "Well, But and you go like, "That's weird." And
isn't
then,
she supposed to be Dick's age?
Yes, first of all, it's also Gordon's daughter.
Well,
who's secretly vigilanteing, and so Batman's already lying about that to Gordon.
Sure, I guess that's less of a problem as the age thing, but
easy fucking DiCaprio.
No, I mean the age thing is the problem here.
See. Okay, then
I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Yeah, no, DiCaprio keeps fucking vigilantes.
The worst thing is that he's lying to his friend.
I guess that makes me feel good.
Oh no. Wait.
No, it's good. Stop getting confused. These things are very basic concepts.
But then they doubled down on it when they did that animated version of The Killing Joke.
Sure.
Because they were like, well, every time they make these animated things, be like, by the time you actually like animate stuff that's in comic pages, you actually need to add stuff to make it movie length.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So they were like, great, we'll add some Barbara scenes. So there's more of Barbara in it. So she's not just there to get shot. And you go, great.
That's a good choice.
That's a good way to address that. And you go, so what scenes did you add of Barbara? It's like, oh, she fucked Batman on a roof. And you go like, oh,
yeah.
Oh no.
That's not what we wanted.
Oh no.
Yeah.
And I just don't get the insistence on it. It's nowhere in the comics. It's never been a thing. Even in a real weird, like, it's not like the comics kind of thing, like Batman and Robin, they at least make the right choice that she's flirting with Dick Grayson, not with Batman.
Yeah.
And that was like, she's also not like anything from anything.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think that one is probably the one that makes me kind of uncomfortable because I've been there, like, as some of these things have unfolded, these choices have been made. I just go, why would you make Batman and Barbara hook up? I don't like it.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes me feel gross. Is there one that you have that you can think of?
There's a certain teen titan.
Sure, the Judas Contract, yeah. I mean, but by some of the same token, but definitely worse.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fair.
Didn't seem to bother you, apparently, but...
I mean, how dare you, first of all. You piece of shit.
Yeah, well, I mean, nobody's friend was betrayed, so it's fine.
Yeah, name one friend who was betrayed in the Judas Contract. Yeah. A story famously about betraying
I guess
friends.
That's true. But I do also like that that's the biggest injustice to you.
I was joking.
Uh-huh.
This is so fucked of you to do this to me.
Yeah, to point out the reality.
How dare you? No, Judas Contract is a good one.
Yeah.
But like, God damn it, if Deathstroke isn't cool.
Yeah, that's the difference.
But this is the problem, though. Like, they keep like, hey, Deathstroke's cool. Don't look over there. Deathstroke's cool. Deathstroke's cool. Hey, don't read that.
Yeah.
Deathstroke's so cool. Hey, what's his biggest story? Don't read it.
Yeah. Not worth looking into.
Yeah.
Fair. All right. With that, let's go to the next question, which means we're leaving Facebook and we're heading over to Threads.
Threads.
God, every time it literally makes my skin crawl.
Do you know what's funny? I went back and I was listening to last week's episode, and I did that, which is eighth, and then I say Threads, and you go, I hate that you do that. Do it like this, and you did the exact same thing.
I don't think that's true.
It is. I'll pull. You know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna clip it.
You're a words guy, not a numbers guy.
Yeah, sure. You're a numbers guy.
I mean, that's all I do anymore.
All right.
I'm in the numbers.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I'm deep in the numbers.
Yeah.
I'm budgeting.
Yeah. I'm feeding a budget to ChatGPT, and it's telling me what I should do.
Is that involved? Maybe. Whatever.
Yeah, see, there we go.
Cool numbers guy.
That's your new character?
Yeah.
Cool numbers guy?
He's also a vampire.
Yeah, it's David Krumholtz. That's a cool numbers guy.
His name is the Count.
No, David, the show Numbers. David Krumholtz.
Yeah. If it's not lie to me, I don't care.
I mean, it's procedural.
Yeah, I do like that. Did you see that the Good Wife spin-off procedural show that just came out?
The worst wife.
Yeah. Talk about it's the ex-wife.
So I mean, I haven't watched The Good Wife.
Neither have I, but the spin-off looks good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I heard that there's going to be a new spin-off of NCIS that features two of the original cast members from NCIS.
What?
So NCIS, which is itself a JAG spin-off,
Yes.
has had spin-offs and is now getting a new spin-off that actually brings back original cast members. So if anything, it's actually like rebooting.
I hope it's just Jag.
Oh my god, if they called it fucking like Jag 2
I would
or like well, it's not quite Jag, so you know, you got Broadway and off Broadway, so you got Jag and Jag off.
Hey, look at this Jag off.
Or like they're constantly going from one coast to the other, so you call it Jig Jag.
Cool.
Jig jagging across the country.
Is that even? That's not even a phrase.
No, it's like zigzag.
But jig jag.
It's because it's
No, that's Irish jag.
We did an Irish jag. I mean, come on. It's an Irish naval military.
Yeah, the jig
court.
jag.
The Irish jag. Ugh.
From Threads, Mara in Iowa asks, how would you guys respond to those gatekeeper comics fans who verbally attack others in person at cons and comic book shops or online, making cringy videos or usually being horrible in comment sections because they think comics shouldn't be inclusive, i.e. expanded beyond straight white guys? I know everyone says to ignore the hate, but if it is specifically attacking you and / your community, do you think it's worth engaging them? You love to engage them and then block them.
I mean, I do a lot less of it now that
There's no Twitter.
There's no Twitter, right? So, but
that was a classic you. I mean, that's also a thing you do in the real world too. Just
Yeah.
drive by yelling at people.
Yeah, I do kind of love that. Yeah. But I also am in the position of
Daddy,
straight.
protesters. That's bad, right?
Yeah, I know. I accidentally taught her the protest was bad. Yeah.
I mean, for a while, protest was bad in Canada.
I mean, it was like the stuff that was being protested.
Yeah,
was,
never anything good.
You know. No, I totally get it. You know, like it's very easy to say like, yeah, just ignore it, blow past it. But that's also an easy thing to say if you're not the person that's part of the group getting the hate.
Mm-hmm.
However, online, these people are seldom, but at the point where they are yelling and blah, blah, blah online, you're not going to change a mind. They're just there for the hate.
Yeah.
So all you're going to do is get yourself worked up because you're going to come in with something more reasonable or an actual argument or whatever, and then they're just going to go like, but, and you know, like, and that's not good for your mental health or things like that. In person, I mean, again, I have no danger sense, and I'm also like I'm a 6'2" cis straight white man with a 2nd degree black belt. So like nothing can hurt me basically. However, in person,
Except for words.
those fucking wound.
Yeah.
In person, my approach is other than me enjoying just like yelling something at people that are obviously dumb and hateful and bad, my approach is more that what you have to do is support the people getting harassed or whatever.
Sure, yeah.
Sometimes that involves a telling off of the people doing it, but it's usually more about reaffirming for the people that are in the position of being victimized that they didn't do anything wrong. Like, I guess where I'm going with this is these people can be so hateful and they're so resolute, and it's not even there's no argument that will win them over. They've decided a thing and that's it, and they refuse to learn and they refuse to get better, and they're morons. So all you can do is contribute positively to the space elsewhere. So it's not about ignoring them, but instead of trying to fight them and getting sucked into their shit, turn around the other way and put some positivity back onto the people that were maybe, whether it's yourself or your community or whatever. You know, if you see someone like, I'll just throw a weird example out. It's not like a real one that I've seen, but like if you see someone at a con getting harassed because someone's like, you know, Tony Stark's not black or whatever,
Sure.
because someone's cosplaying or whatever, I mean, I would tell them to fuck off, but more importantly, I would get the person that was being victimized and be like, your Iron Man suit looks amazing. You're so cool. You're such a Tony Stark. Blah, blah, blah. But like, put positivity back in, you know? Help extricate those people from the bad situation.
Sure.
Flag down the security. Do what you got to do to end the bad thing. But then put the positivity back in. Trying to get into a yelling match with people that like hate that certain people exist, like you can't change them. All we can do is hope they die out, you know, or that they're so dumb that they'll, you know, I don't know, render themselves like out of the gene pool or something like that.
Sure.
It's sort of the best we could do, unfortunately.
Or
I
yell
think.
at them and drive away.
Well, and have them removed from these spaces and things like that. You know, like there's those kind of things, but I wouldn't get sucked into an actual argument with any of them. I would turn around and try and put more positivity, like make the space the way you want to make it, and show people that not everyone's like that. That's the most important thing, because the worst thing we could do is just gawk and be off on the side. What we have to do is counter all of those negative things with something positive.
Yeah.
That's my general feeling about that. Again, easier said than done, and takes a certain level of, you know, disregard for yourself, I think, sometimes, to put yourself in that position and stuff like that. But yeah, that's my general feeling about it. I don't know if you've got a different sort of take.
I would also say, I mean, I'd be surprised. Maybe in the States the cons are bad, but for the most part, cons are like all the experiences I've ever seen is so open and like caring, and like I've never seen that kind of behavior at a con.
Not
before.
at the con usually.
No.
But yeah, I mean, if you were walking around town to
Sure,
the con, it's like, I could see it. But.
Yeah. Or like comic book shops, I could see like.
Yeah.
Like I know your wife's had some weird experiences, but
and I will say, you know, comic book shops in general are getting better and better. It's probably less and less about the owners of the places and more about some of the patrons.
Sure, yeah.
That stuff's still in there. I still walk into shops somewhere in the country and hear someone go like, "Oh my god, they made Spider-Man Mexican," or like whatever. And you go like, "Oh god," like
No, I mean, I do to completely counter what you just said. I do like one of your tactics, which is that you just like show people the extremist version of their viewpoints to make them question it.
Oh yeah, I mean it's true, but they need to have some sort of critical thinking, intact for that to work. I think.
I do like that you're just like, I guess we should kill them then, and they're like, well, no, what? No.
Well, that's my point with homelessness. When people complain about the homeless or about shelters or things,
and you're like,
I
agree, we should kill them.
I go like, you're right. They're lazy. They deserve to die. And they go, that's not what I mean. It's like, okay, well, so if you don't deserve to die for laziness, let's play this out.
Yeah.
You know, like, well, then what should you have? Is it shelter and food and healthcare and stuff like that? And they go, but again, that conversation I tend to have it not in the middle of someone yelling at one homeless person. It's usually.
Yeah.
People that are sort of lightly conservative, and they just go like, "Ugh, the homeless are such a problem." And you go like, "Well, let's play this out."
Yeah,
it's a slightly different context because there is a sort of level on which you can like rationally take people through the.
That's more of like a
their
Thanksgiving
argument.
dinner conversation.
100%. That's a Thanksgiving dinner version of that.
Yeah.
In the moment with like real hate, like really visceral. I mean, like angry hate. Not the time for a well laid out argument. Usually.
No. But I do like your tactic of yelling at people and then not allowing them to respond.
Oh yeah. I don't need to hear what they have to say. They're idiots.
It's kind of my favorite thing that you do. It's just like petty, but also in the best kind of way.
Because it's not even like I say anything smart to them. I just go, "You absolute fucking
Yeah.
dick." And then I'm out of there. Yeah. I just like the idea that maybe I ruined their day.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to prove a point.
No. And you don't want a dialogue.
No, I'm not interested. I don't want to hear what they have to say.
Yeah, I do love that because it's like, what's the worst they can do? Yell in the dark about how you're not up for.
There was that one protest in town.
Oh yeah.
Well, it was happening nationwide where these like quote concerned parents or whatever, something about them hating trans kids basically and stuff like that, and LGBTQ stuff in schools and whatnot. One of those stupid parents' rights kind of things. And our counter protest, all across the country, counter protest dwarfed these fucking
incredible.
morons.
Yeah.
And at our one in town, there's the people lined up across the street who's like, "Stop hurting our kids," or whatever. And I exclusively would yell like mean things at them, like, "I bet your kids haven't spoken to you in years." It would just be like, "When was the last time you even saw your kids?" I'm
so
just
good.
like, you'd see these people like, "Oh,
that's not the point."
because you kind of know, too, especially in like a small town too. You go like, "I bet their kids fucking hate."
Oh
them.
yeah. So good. All right. With that, let's leave Threads and head on over to Instagram.
Now we're going to Instagram, take some questions and answer them.
First question comes from Alfred is Zaddy, who asks, women in refrigerators has become an unwelcomed trope in comic storytelling. In your opinion, how do you effectively write tragedy to a hero's character arc without making their friends and loved ones just cheap cannon fodder?
Yeah, so the table setting, we've talked about it a lot, but for anyone that's like just started listening or something, the women in refrigerators thing it's named for a very specific incident, which happened in Green Lantern, like not very long into Kyle Rayner's tenure as Green Lantern. So this is after Hal went crazy and destroyed the Corps. Kyle's the only Green Lantern, and his girlfriend, Alex DeWitt, is brutally murdered and crammed into a fridge by the villain Major Force.
Yeah.
For Green
How
Lantern.
do you think he did it? Do you think he used Major Force?
Jesus Christ. Good Lord.
Just feels like to put a whole person in a fridge would take a lot of effort.
This is not. Oh no. So the
Kramer.
But what the trope is talking about is Alex DeWitt was like barely a character. We were like less than 10 issues, I think, into Kyle Rayner's run of Green Lantern or whatever. Alex DeWitt's barely a character. And it always happens, or always seems to happen to female characters, where it's like they're just there to get killed so the male hero can go, "I will avenge you," you know. The term was coined by Gail Simone, who we love, but even Gail would say her point was never that you can never do it.
Sure.
The problem was that it was a pattern. It was only like, it was this pattern of like female characters getting killed or depowered or maimed. That's in a way that's not in the service of their story in any way, and it's only using them as props or plot devices for male protagonists.
But also not giving these characters any agency. You're creating them just for the purpose of this.
I mean, yes, but also not necessarily just about their creation.
Sure.
Because it would also apply to Barbara Gordon in Killing Joke or things like that. But yes. So it's not that you can't have someone get hurt or whatever.
Yeah.
The trick is that it
shouldn't be a knee-jerk reaction to, we should hurt somebody. Obviously, it's got to be like this
a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, A, shouldn't always be a woman. Just be aware as you're writing.
Yeah.
But thing number two, and actually it's really thing number one, the more important thing is the agency piece. Is that it has to be part of their story. So for example, if something bad were to happen to, Lois Lane, it should be because it shouldn't just be that someone shows up at their house and kills Lois and goes, that'll get Superman mad.
Yeah.
It should be that Lois is investigating something and she uncovers this thing and this person and she goes, should I wait for Superman? No, I'm Lois Lane. I'm sassy brassy, blah, 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 blah. And this person's like, do you know what? This is actually perfect because I know this will make Superman mad. But it's still like I'm doing a bad job of it. Even that's not quite good enough. But what I mean is it has to be part of her journey. Part of Lois's story has to arc to this bad thing happening, and then it could also be part of Superman's story. And I'm just using Lois because we're talking about the women in refrigerators, but it could be anyone. It could be Jimmy. It could be like Perry. It could be whatever. Pa Kent, pick. But the point is that it has to be part of their story. If it's just like, oh, I'm going to hurt them, eeny, meeny, miny, then it's such a throwaway thing. It happened to Black Canary and Longbow Hunters. It happened to, there's all sorts of examples of it. So the trick is that they have to have some agency, and it has to be part of their narrative arc. Like, it can't just be, we did it so that now Green Arrow will get mad. You have to also go like, no, but like, what does it mean for Black Canary? Let's say they don't die or something like that. You'd be like, what's the arc? It can't just be like, we'll figure it out. Or like, well, she's sad. Like, so you have to like actually put some thought into like story-wise, what are the consequences of these things that happen?
Do you think that killing Arthur's baby was then lazy?
I mean, story to story, I don't necessarily think that some of these things are just lazy. But when you put them all together, you see a pattern of like, well, we barely thought about this. I'd actually argue that the death of a prince, the story where Arthur and Mira's baby gets killed by Black Manta, isn't like that.
Okay.
Because it's got, I mean, it's pretty shocking, to kill a baby. But it's got reverberations.
Sure.
It breaks up Aquaman and Mira's marriage. It like they both get to react to it.
Sure.
It's it's also like I know what you're saying. It's not like the baby has agency, but then I would turn around and go like, how would you write that differently?
Yeah.
But I get what you're saying. I don't feel that way about that one. I might be wrong. It might be exactly the thing I'm talking about, but I've never felt that way.
It feels like a challenging thing.
The point was more that it can become a really lazy trope. Yeah. And so I think even Gail would say that her point was just like, put some work in. Make us care about these characters. Make these characters meaningful on their own. Make it that they have an arc, that if the trajectory of their arc is that it ends in their death, that's fine. That's part of storytelling. That's okay, but they have to have an arc. It can't just be like, who should we kill? You burnt. Anyway, like that's so callous and and thoughtless and lazy.
Well, it's just like
the killing of Arthur's baby is like, how much does Manta hate him? How much you could ramp to the, like, if the arc of that ends there, then you go like, it's dark, but there's an arc there, as opposed to something like Sue Dibney dying in Identity Crisis, where you go like, why was she investigating something? Like, no, she was just at home. It's like, did she wrong someone? It's like, no, Jean Loring did it by accident and then torched her body. And you go like, fucking what? Like, that's a real, like, why? It's so unnecessary. It'd be different if it was like an old villain, or you put me away. You and Ralph are such good goddamn romance detectives.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's more about that. That's my interpretation of it anyway.
Sure. No. That seems fair.
Yeah.
All right. Next question comes from Keegan Steedman, who asks, what are your thoughts on Tom King's Batman run? I thought he did a good job with the character and stories he told. It's just a shame he blue-balled the audience with the wedding.
Yeah.
I mean, yes.
I think it sucks that the wedding didn't happen.
it does suck.
I get it. I get what he was going for, but I just don't set it up like it's happening. They did the wedding special and all these like like if we just know it's not going to happen, but like in the thing the characters think it's going to happen, that's different.
Yeah.
Totally fine. Whatever. But like don't do that. You know? It's that sucks. I don't know how much of that is King specifically and how much of that is like
They're like, Batman can't be married.
or the editorial being like, we could sell a bunch of extra tie-ins.
Oh, sure.
If we, like I don't know where those decisions happened and who's responsible for that. I think those are pretty cynical. In general, I kind of like King's Batman run. Not necessarily top to bottom, but a lot of it. Certainly the beginning few arcs, really solid. I like the War of Jokes and Riddles. I think it's good. I know some people have
Is
some
that where we
issues
get the
with it.
new character?
Well, there's a new character in that whole run. There's Gotham and Gotham Girl.
Yeah.
And I like a decent amount of that stuff. I like the Bane stuff in the early like where it starts to lose me is I really like Cold Days, which is a Mr. Freeze arc where Mr. Freeze is on trial and Bruce has put himself on the jury because he realizes that in his rage as like post wedding failing and Dick getting shot, he realizes that he just beat the shit out of Mr. Freeze and essentially framed him for a thing he's not 100% sure would hold up in court.
Oh, wow.
And so Bruce puts himself on the jury to convince people that they shouldn't just take Batman's word for it.
Oh.
It's I like it. It's sort of interesting. I like that story. I think it's interesting. But that we also get that arc where like Booster Gold is like, oh, you're about to get married? Well, here's my gift to you. I'll show you a world where you're happy. And he like fucks the timeline and bad things happen.
What?
Stuff like that. And that happened right on I've said this before on the show. It happened right on the heels of the opposite arc in Superman, where Booster Gold was like, Superman, you can't go back in time and stop Krypton from exploding. So
Wow.
it's like, no, we do have like Booster Gold, the greatest hero you've never heard of, who's fully capable and understands the rules of time and is responsible. And then in the Batman one, he's like, I don't know, I could just make like one little pocket dimension or like one little weird hyper time branch.
Yeah.
You're like, no. It's that fucking Tom King thing that comes up sometimes where he's like, I have an idea for a story. I'll be damned if the character's current characterization will stand in my way.
Sure, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it does creep up with King where he just goes like, it's a story and I gotta use them whether or not they fit.
Yeah.
Like that does happen sometimes.
Yeah, good writer doesn't really care that much about the
And I
characterization.
gotta say, I don't love, other than aesthetically, I don't love beach mustache Tom Selleck Batman.
Sure.
Other than aesthetically. But the whole thing where he's just like, no, I'm just going to stay out here. The Bat family's got it handled. Is Alfred's neck snapped? We'll never know.
Sure.
You know, Alfred's death, actually, I like it. It's pretty good. You know, that's one where it's like they kill Alfred to punish Robin for entering Gotham because the villains take over Gotham City. Yeah, no one enters. But we do such a good job of these stories in and around it that sort of acknowledge Alfred's impact on the family and his legacy and like what he would want for Bruce, what he'd want for Dick. That's like, it's actually quite well handled, I would say. Some of the stuff with Flashpoint Batman in it is like, but it's whatever. It's fine. I think it loses steam near the end. Like I think the end of that run suffers from not actually getting to finish because I think it was supposed to go for like another 10 issues or something, and then something shifted. But and I think it suffers for that. But the early bit of that run generally pretty solid, and I do like Cold Days. I think Cold Days is good. Yeah.
All right. Next question from Liam K. Willis, who asks.
Oh, sorry. And one other thing. I actually think the initial, like the hook premise of City of Bane is interesting, which is that Bane is using the Psycho Pirate to control the other villains. Because they do this thing where it's like Joker and Riddler become the cops. Once the Bat family's kicked out of Gotham, and Bane's like, if you come into Gotham, if anyone sets foot in fucking Gotham, I'll kill Alfred. I'll kill them all. Like, blah, blah, blah. Then you get this thing where it's like, now Joker and Riddler are like cops. And they go around doing stuff. And like, Two-Face's the judge, and Penguin's the mayor. Like, they put the villains into all of the city, like...
I like that they still think the bureaucracy needs to exist.
Well, I love the idea of like Bane like perverting Gotham that way.
Yeah.
There's something like visually and like it's a cool hook. Like, what if all your favorite villains were doing this instead?
Yeah.
And like that's kind of neat, and I sort of like that. Hugo Strange is the commissioner.
Oh, weird.
But they do all the tropes like Flashpoint Batman and Gotham Girl work for Bane in this, and they're Batman and Robin, but Hugo Strange goes and turns the signal, and they show up and they go, yeah, we're gonna make sure they don't get back into this. Like, so you're doing all the beats of a Batman story, but it's as villain. Like, that kind of stuff is fun, but then we see it for 2 issues and immediately abandon it for Batman's on the beach and Alfred's dead.
Sure, yeah.
Like, we don't really explore it enough, I think.
That's fair.
So that, yeah.
From Liam K. Willis, who asks, was the cover of Jon Stewart's first appearance controversial when it came out? I get they were trying to show him empowered, but I feel like if it came out now, it would just be seen as unnecessary.
I mean, when Jon Stewart first appeared, he's extremely brash. He's very in your face. The cover of that one is like Green Lantern is like knocked out and he's like, yeah, they whipped Green Lantern. Let's see how they handle me or whatever. He's pretty in your face. But it's also like we have at that time, so few black superheroes, if any, really. And no, I like it. I think it's good. I don't know if it was controversial at the time. I assume to a segment of the population it was, because that still seems to be a problem. But yeah, I don't actually really know how it was received. I like it though. I know what you're saying. Like the way Jon Stewart is characterized now is very different from the way he was characterized when he first appeared. The way Jon Stewart is characterized now is very like calm, thoughtful, like disciplined. I'm a military man. I'm a leader. Blah blah blah. And the Jon Stewart, when we first meet him, is more like, "How dare you? I'll beat him. I'll show you what I could do." Kind of like he's
like
got
a
that
grunt kind of.
I mean, he was still like a military guy, and although they made him. He had a bigger chip on his shoulder. He had more to prove.
Sure,
that kind of stuff. Like, that would be, I guess, slightly different maybe, but I don't know. I think it fits with the era. I think it works. Mm-hmm. I like it. Probably the wrong person to ask.
Sure.
About the black experience.
Yeah.
But yeah. I didn't have a problem with it.
Is that like? Do you think that there's a weird connection towards the way he was portrayed, and the fact that he was black, or?
Well, I think there's. I think it wouldn't be crazy to say that you're tapping into that like
angry black man thing
a little bit,
sure,
but also like the black power thing,
sure.
like
because when was this?
Jon Stewart's probably in the 70s.
Okay.
We're a little after,
the actual
civil rights and
Malcolm
X and stuff like that. But I think you're tapping into like
sure.
Black Panthers and stuff we're tapping into that energy at least, I think. And so maybe that's a little tired, that's like you end up in the trap, like the American fiction trap, like that new Jeffrey Wright movie. Yeah, it may be slightly tropey, I guess, but also there are so few of them. So the counter argument I'm sure someone would make would be like, well, if we don't show that, then it looks like things are too good. Like we need to show the fight the stuff like that so that we know that it's a fight to be respected, to be powerful, these kind of things. I don't know that there's a right answer to that, but that's certainly in there, and certainly in the era of very few black superheroes. Like even in the late 70s or 80s, or when Black Lightning comes around, Black Lightning also has that, although there's the added layer of the blaxploitation thing with Black Lightning, because Jefferson Pierce deliberately throws on extra slang and like and the way he talks changes when he's Black Lightning, and that's in there. And again, not necessarily a bad thing, maybe slightly weird that it's written by Tony Isabella, but
Next question comes from Max Newpole, who asks, how would you salvage Identity Crisis? Sue still has to die, and the Justice League still erases Batman's memory, but otherwise you can make any changes you'd like.
Right. So, just a reminder about Identity Crisis here. There's sort of two main layers to this story. In Identity Crisis, it is revealed that certain members of the Justice League have been secretly, or had been, not necessarily ongoing, secretly, magically lobotomizing villains, which was the book's way of like changing their personality. Like, why is Catwoman more of a hero now than she used to be a villain? Why was how was Dr. Light ever a Justice League villain when the Teen Titans regularly beat his ass? Like, how did these things happen or whatever? And they used this idea that like they were actually like magically tampering with their brains to make them less dangerous.
Wow.
Zatanna, people that were in on it were like Hawkman, Green Arrow, blah, blah, blah. Not all of them agreed, but they were in on it. Green Lantern, Flash, stuff like that. And over the course of the story, this secret comes out. Dr. Light gets his memories back and remembers this happened. And over the course of this, it's revealed that the Justice League did it to Batman because Batman caught them doing it. And they wiped his memory of it.
Wow.
They didn't change him, but they wiped his memory. And Batman, that sends him on this paranoid path.
Is this what heads towards Brother Eye?
Yes, 100%. Yeah. Oh, look at you.
You're all right.
The secondary story of this is that when Dr. Light resurfaces and regains his memories, those members of the Justice League that have this sort of secret, we will not talk about this pact, go, fuck, it's about that time. And it's because Sue Dibney, Ralph Dibney's wife, in the present, gets murdered, and they go, fuck. And Dr. Light remembered. And then we flash back to, remember that time when Dr. Light was like an evil rapist and he raped Sue Dibney on the Watchtower, where in the Justice League's home.
Jesus Christ.
And stuff like that. And so these things are all connected, but it's because this horrific thing happens to Sue and she's killed, and they go, fuck, it's about this. It's actually not about that at all, but all of that comes out because they think it's about that. But really what happened is that Jean Loring, the ex-wife of the Atom, she just wants Ray back so bad. So she took his shrinking belt, decided she was just going to hurt Sue, like secretly. And then Ralph would be worried about Sue, and then everyone would be worried about the people they love, and Ray would come and check on her. Which actually does happen in this book.
Jesus.
Except that she fucks up. She gets the size belt thing wrong. She gives Sue a stroke. She panics. Doesn't want people to realize it was her. Torches Sue's body. Jeez. And Jean Loring has fully snaps. They put her in Arkham at the end of this. But her whole motivation is I missed my ex-husband. Is this a normal thing to do?
Jesus.
So, there's a lot of things going on in Identity Crisis. What would I change about it? Thing number one is I'd get Jean Loring out of there entirely. Yeah. You can have her go crazy and go evil and become Eclipso in some other way.
Yeah.
I'd get her out of there because that whole thing of I just wanted you to miss me is so fucking stupid.
Yeah.
I would have the person that hurt Sue be something connected to it. It has to be an old case, or it's got to be that she and Ralph are working a thing, and you know what I mean. It's got to tie back to
her character,
or it has to be that it was a thing that they worked on that she didn't remember, but they did because of the memory. Like, it still has to be about her.
Yeah.
So much of this is not about her. It's not even about Ralph.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's, these two beloved characters, it's like all for shock value. You have to give them a role in it. Or you take them out of an entire... Well, sorry, in the question here, they say Sue still has to die. Fine. But do we also have to then, like, remember the time she was violently raped on the Watchtower?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As opposed to just like, you wronged me and I killed you. Like, there's so many different ways of doing this. You know what I mean? Like, maybe in the past, the person had found out, like, where they lived. And so then the Justice League wiped their memory. And maybe that was an invasion of privacy thing, and it was tied to some other stuff they had done that they didn't want people to know about. Batman disagreed, and they wiped his memory too. You keep that. But then that person gets their memory back, and they find them and do, you know what I mean? Like, there's so many other ways of doing it than the way that was presented.
Yeah.
It's a hard line because it's not like, I don't know necessarily that what I'm advocating for is that you can never have these tough, bad story beats in a story, because I don't think I agree with that.
Sure.
But the how you support them, how do you justify their existence, you have to do so much more work, I think. If you're like, the story does not work if someone doesn't get sexually assaulted, or specifically this person, it needs to be that the story actually doesn't work without it.
Yeah.
Like, does not work.
Yes.
Because if you can show the story does not work without it, then you go, okay, but we got to treat it with the proper gravity. And because the story does not work without it, it means that it must be part of the story, and therefore it must have that gravity. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you just go like, do you know what would make this kind of like shocking?
Yeah.
If you could replace it with anything else, you should. I guess is where I'm going with this. I think the bar for the necessity level of things like that has to be really high.
Yeah. I agree.
So it's not that you can't do it, but it's like at the stage at which we're doing it, it's basically we either do this or we don't do this story at all.
Yeah.
You like it has to be basically to that level. And then at that point you have to be like, does this story need to be told? And if your response is like, yes, we think it's important, we think we have to like tackle this issue, we have something to say, but then it's like, okay, put all of the relevant weight and content advisories and whatever you have to do, tell that story. But if it's anything more flippant than that, you shouldn't do it. It's sort of my
No, I agree.
take, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that. All right, next question comes from Dem Jinkies, who asks, what do you think is the least valid controversy? Like, which do you think is the one that shouldn't have blown up the way it did?
I got one. Do you have one?
I've got one.
Oh, what's yours?
The dick.
Yeah, the bat penis one. It was a Black Label book.
Yeah.
And it's just a little shadow of knob.
Yeah. It was under Black Label, which was supposed to be this whole fucking like edgy like line.
Yeah, it's not just like someone picked up like Batman 23
Yes.
and he was just like, oh yeah, like fucking like
Yeah, he fucking wasn't Drake doing a leaked selfie.
yeah.
Like, it was barely visible and it was in the thing. Like, that's one that comes up, and then the other one's gonna be the fucking Jonathan Kent like coming out thing.
Oh, I mean, such manufactured rage.
Because that was all over fucking Fox as like, Superman is gay.
They made Superman gay. Oh no.
It's just like,
What's gayer than putting on tights and saving the day? It's great.
Yeah.
Just own it.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think those are the two that really stand out to me.
Yeah, the bat penis is a big one. Again, it was a Black Label book. We're supposed to have some sort of like, I don't know, like higher artistic intent. Like, you could take a look at it later.
It's supposed to be their like HBO
but
kind
also
of
like
thing,
you
yeah.
could look at it later and be like, artistically, did it have to be there? And your answer might still be no.
Sure, yeah.
But it's like, but you get to.
Yeah.
It's Black Label. who cares?
Yeah, it's supposed.
And again, it's not like we got like an up close. We saw every vein. It's like
Yeah,
like
clearly didn't get my letters.
that panel is just like it's like a shadow of it. Just enough that we know what Catwoman's working with. But
yeah.
it's
Yeah,
so
that cat is loving it.
easy. It's so stupid that became a thing. They were like, sorry, we shaded over it. We're sorry that his penis was in there.
Fucking insane.
So dumb. Fucking Puritans.
Truly.
So dumb. Like, it's not even like sexy. It's just there.
Yes.
I mean, if anyone's ever looked at a penis, it's not sexy.
No.
It's just there.
Yeah.
That's how I start foreplay. Like, trust me, it's not sexy, but it's there.
So interested?
Maybe tonight. So no, I that one's definitely up there for me. Yeah, I mean, anytime someone is just mad because a character is gay or bisexual or whatever, like, you know, Tim Drake, Jonathan Kent, like, name them, I think that's dumb because it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine,
Can you think of any others?
Especially Jonathan Kent.
Oh, I
like,
know.
he just aged up. When would we have known this?
Yeah.
It's like, it's not like...
But also they used it to be able to be...
I'm trying to be careful with how I phrase this because I also don't give a shit when it was Tim Drake.
Yeah.
Tim Drake had 25 years of comics behind him. But, like, in the case of Jonathan Kent, you don't even have to, like, he's never been before.
Yeah.
Which is, again,
not
an argument because that's not how shit works. But, like...
But also, I love that they had to be... Superman is... Like, the fact that they tried to make it like Clark Kent is gay. Like,
well, yeah.
The language they used is to be able to make that.
Yeah, I mean, it's... Yeah, all of that stuff is dumb to
First
me.
the green fucking M&M and now this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was with them on the green M&M thing.
It was fucking too hot for TV.
No, go woke, go broke. Make her hot again. Make the green M&M fuckable.
I mean, it was always fuckable, but
just when getting that candy show.
I just wanted her to look like she wanted.
I'm trying to think if there's another one that really feels underwhelming. I mean, I guess the other version of that is like, why is Wally black? It's like that kind of, castings for things. I can't.
By the way, did you see the new fucking Gordon casting, Commissioner Gordon?
No, not Gordon. Why would they cast Commissioner?
Or not
Gordon?
Commissioner Gordon? It's
Perry White.
Perry White, yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking Zane.
So fucking good.
Yeah, Suits, baby.
I was like, oh,
hell yeah. Do you know what? Fucking Gabriel Macht would be like a good Hal.
Oh yeah. Hell yeah.
Fuck. Let's get the whole cast of Suits.
Yeah. I mean, who do you think? I don't know. If we were trying to cast, like, I don't know, Black Canary or something, was there somebody you would use?
No, it's okay.
Like, was there a specific character that might look good in that outfit to you?
Listen. How dare you blow up my spot like this? Dinah.
I mean,
it's written in the stars.
I'd like to dine in.
Easy. Let's not make this a controversial episode.
I've been trying the whole time.
I know.
All right, next question. From Copy 801, who asks, can we talk about the controversy of rebooting the universe over 4 times in 35 years? You don't really see it as a controversy.
Well, I don't really see it as rebooting it that many times. Actually, it's more what I was going to say.
Okay.
I know what you're saying. I know what they mean by this question. And maybe technically they might even be right. But let's really talk about it. What's the first time DC rebooted?
Crisis,
1985.
Yeah.
Did DC reboot in 0 Hour? I guess technically, because some adjustments were made. But really, you go into 0 Hour, you come out of 0 Hour more or less the same, except for a couple of adjustments. Not really a reboot. They didn't like start over. Like
Sure.
after Crisis, like Superman met Metallo for the first time again, and like shit like that. Like stuff like that happened where it's just like, whoa, shit. Like after 0 Hour, not so much.
New 52.
Infinite Crisis just added a multiverse back.
Sure.
But didn't actually change the continuity. They just added worlds again. Final Crisis didn't mess with it that way. So, Flashpoint New 52 is really the next, I'd say, reboot.
Sure.
Which, again, you know, we've talked about this to death, too.
Yeah.
Kind of half did it for some characters, full
Yes.
did it for others. But that's really like, that was like, this is a new continuity.
Yes.
Totally stripped down, totally whatever. And then, you know, DC Rebirth, what did it do? Is it just was like, oh, the stuff from before is also in this now too. They didn't start again though. They just went like, and you know, all those gaps you had to fill in before, like, just use this.
Yeah.
I'd make the argument they've only rebooted twice.
And potentially once.
Well, I'll say twice because I think the New 52 counts. Because it's a pretty abrupt end to the previous book's start to the more or less.
Yeah.
I'd say twice. The other stuff is just retcons, which comics are doing constantly. Now, I think you notice it because it's always a big cosmic event and everyone's involved. And then what comes out of it is like, we changed 4 things. We changed these 2 little things over here or whatever.
Sure, yeah.
But really, like, that's not that different from like someone just on a flash book going like, do you know what? I've decided I'm going to redo Eobard Thawne's origin. Here's a secret part of it we never knew before.
Yeah.
There's always it's comics, like especially like ongoing comics. We're always doing that. So I get what you're saying, and certainly DC gets event heavy, and DC has been Crisis level event heavy with metal and death metal. But in the strictest sense, like of rebooting, maybe twice. You know, maybe.
And how do you feel about those two?
They're fine.
Yeah.
The New 52, you know, like, yeah.
There's some problems with it.
There's some problems with it, but it was good. And more or less is when I got back into comics.
Yeah.
So it kind of did its job.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a lot of people's jumping on point.
Well,
how many times have we had questions on this show of people being like, I started on New 52, blah, blah, blah. That's what got me into, like, it did what it was supposed to do. Now, could they have done that without throwing out characters like Donna Troy or Wally West and shit like that? Yeah, probably. But, you know, it's, and a lot of good stuff is in there. So whatever, right? Crisis is great. And then post-Crisis, you go like, oh, did they nail it? It's like, of course they fucking didn't. That's why they had to do 0 Hour like 6 years later or whatever it was, you know? So it's, yeah, there's a recency bias, I think, to shitting on the New 52, but it was pretty radical and more or less did what they said they wanted to do.
And guess what?
And then that experiment ended, and now we're in this era, and it's fine. Like,
but also, guess what? They're going to do it again.
Yeah. So to me, that's not the controversial thing in the New 52. The controversy to me of the New 52 is not that they did it. It was the how.
Sure.
It was like, what happened to that middle generation? Like, how did we fuck up the Titans and that sort of there were a lot of pieces like that to me. Those were the controversies for the New 52 for me, more than I can't believe they I actually think it was kind of cool that they did it. They just fucked some things up,
mishandled some of those. Yeah,
that's more my feeling about the New 52.
Yeah,
you know,
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Next question from 5Ball AF, who asks, I've seen the meme of a 60s or 70s comic Batman slapping Robin. Why did he do that, and how did people react?
Oh, yeah, that meme is everywhere. This feels like a Jaffe question, because I'm sure Jaffe knows like specifically what issue that's from or what its original form was. But I will say, just generally, Batman used to fucking love slapping.
Really?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've talked about we talked about in Batman #1 back in 1940.
Oh,
There's
yes.
that panel of him with Catwoman over his knee and him just saying "quiet" or "Papa Spank."
Yes.
Batman fucking loves that shit.
I mean,
You
don't we
know,
all?
and also, you know, I'm about to say a thing that sounds like I'm defending him. That's not what I intend. He's slapping Robin because punching him would have been like not okay with the comics code. You know
Yes.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
snap out of it, Robin. And he's like, you can't punch him. Batman in a comic now might. Frank Miller's Batman definitely would. He'd beat the shit out of Robin. But that's
And piss on him.
Yeah, because he didn't like the way he looked or something.
Yeah.
You look like a liberal cuck. Or something.
Now here's my friend Wildcat.
Yeah.
Story written by Tom Grummett.
Poor Tom. Or not.
Or yeah.
We may never know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I do.
Oh, okay.
The image of Batman slapping originates from the panel, single panel from the 1965 comic World's Finest number 153. In this panel, Batman is depicted slapping Robin across the face. This image was part of an imaginary story, a concept DC Comics used to use for stories that were not considered part of the main continuity.
Yeah, they used to, especially in things like World's Finest or in like Superman's girlfriend Lois Lane, they'd be like, this is an imaginary story. And it would just be like
unlike the other stuff, which have happened for real.
It would be like a self-contained thing.
Sure,
it wouldn't
yeah,
affect continuity or whatever.
Sure.
Yeah.
Where Batman believes that Superboy is responsible for the death of his father, leading him to become an enemy of the entire Superman family. The context of the panel is that Robin is expressing doubt about Batman's vendetta against Superman, suggesting that Batman's obsession has clouded his judgment. Batman's slap is a response to what is perceived as an insubordinate or naive part on Robin's.
Yeah, so there you go. Robin had it coming.
At the time of the publication, the panel was just another dramatic moment in the comic book and did not elicit significant reaction. However,
I wouldn't think it would have, yeah.
No. However, years later, the image became a meme.
Yeah.
And at that point is when the original dialogue was replaced with humorous illustrations of people shutting down other arguments.
Which, you know, like, yeah, I was going to say, I couldn't imagine anyone giving a shit.
No.
Who would be...
We slapping people all the time back then.
Yeah, when your kid is insubordinate, you hit them.
Yeah.
If anything, it's like the most 1965 thing you could do.
Yeah, I mean, truly. Yes.
You know? It's like, yeah, Batman's a good parent.
Yeah. About time. Children and women, they just need a firm hand.
Spare the rod. Spare the bat rod.
Yeah. In comics, too, you better not show that bat rod.
Yes, of course, yeah. It's for Catwoman.
Next question.
We're going to have to shade out that bat rod. I thought this was a Black Label book.
Shade the rod and shave the cat, if you know what I mean. MRE64, who asks, what do you think about, well, everything in Heroes in Crisis? Editorial choosing dozens of second-generational heroes to die, the bungled message on PTSD and therapy, Wally West and Lois Lane being dragged through the mud, and how it all happened immediately after Jeff Johns took a step back from directing everything with DC Rebirth.
I'm not sure that last one is part of the controversy. I'm not sure that...
It's more of just like how it's... I think it's more of just like it's interesting.
Did you read Heroes in Crisis? Did you ever actually read it?
I don't think so.
Man. Yeah, God, what's the worst part of it for me? The Lois thing is interesting. So in that book, when it becomes clear that something horrible happened at Sanctuary, and that all these people are dead and they have to report on it, Lois makes the executive journalistic decision to release all of the Sanctuary tapes. Jesus. Or something like that.
Which is just so fucked.
It's so fucked. The Wally thing, I mean, The fundamental problem with Heroes in Crisis is that its premise is not just that these people need help. It's that these people are, because they need help, they are dangerous.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what Tom King meant,
No,
but it is absolutely in that book.
that's fucked.
Like, the way that it came out has unintentionally, I think, like I think it would be unreasonable to say that Tom King is like, yeah, like people that need help, they're dangerous. Like,
Sure.
I don't think that's fair. But if you read that book, it's what that book is saying
Sure.
by accident.
Yeah.
And the thing with Wally is that like his trauma, and that he has this Speed Force surge, and it kills a bunch of people. And then Wally not only covers it up, which maybe is already out of character, but he also frames like Harley and Booster, and then to buy himself time so that a future version of him can kill himself. So like there's a time travel like piece to it. There's all this like, it's so dumb.
Wow.
And the carnage for what? And you know, like the best thing that's happened since Wally West took over the Flash book recently is that they undid Heroes in Crisis.
Oh, wow.
They made it that all these people just got plucked out of time and put somewhere else. Be like, it's okay, they're all alive. And we just kind of went like, fixed it.
Sure.
Basically. But I think the problem is, A, that we sort of accidentally portray that these people who are hurting are dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And more than just to themselves. And I think that's a problem. I think problem number 2 is that some of those confessional things I think are really interesting. You know, you've probably seen the 9-panel things where they're like these heroes like having actual like therapy or whatever. But some of them you could tell they're aiming at a joke. And it's not that you can't approach a thing with humor, but it's like, what would this person be like traumatized by? And it goes like something like flippant.
Oh.
And you kind of go like, ugh, I don't like that so much. Or it's also the era where they had like the worst ever Batgirl costume. That's just like, it's such like a tits and ass kind of Batgirl costume that I hate. Yeah, it's really hard to pin down. It's a sloppy, bad, unthoughtful version of a bunch of really neat ideas. And what ends up happening is you just kind of, it looks like you don't care about the ideas, or you get the idea wrong, or you send the wrong message, or things like that. And they end up just having to undo it all anyway.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the worst part is for me. I guess the worst part is the wasted potential.
I mean, that's always the
because
thing about
a story about a place like Sanctuary is
Yeah.
so fucking interesting.
Yeah.
And the worst possible thing you could do is like, it's a murder mystery at like a therapy. Like, why? Just like, you could have just done a story of the heroes getting therapy with no action. Like, and it would be revolutionary. It might take some people aback because there's not an action element to it, but that would have been what was cool about it. Like, the problem now is that idea is contaminated.
Yeah.
For a while. We can't go back to that.
I know.
For a while because of that.
It's like you made him seem like pussies and you made it and you fucked it up. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about that first bit. I think them needing help is fine.
Yeah, no, I know, but the way that they were portrayed in it.
I don't think my problem was that they were vulnerable. The problem was
No. I'm not saying that. I mean, like, their approach to it made it seem like it was a bad thing.
Oh, they were cowardly about it? Yeah. I mean, it's probably a better word for it than that. This is controversial, man.
Yeah.
The way you said that.
Welcome. Go woke, go broke.
Oh, no. The fucking uncle character's back.
That's right. Yeah. Character.
Yes. Uncle.
Yeah. Next question from Dead to Myself, who asks, New 52 Shazam, the removing of the original Captain Marvel name. Complete garbage. I don't give a shit.
It's fine.
I kind of don't care. I actually kind of like Shazam more.
I'll also put it this way, and I think a lot of Captain Marvel fans are sort of right to have done this. I think it maybe started from just being like petulant, but I think ultimately they were right and justified. Is that Shazam is sort of a different character.
Yeah.
Like,
well, yeah, the whole like
that
kid
idea
adult
of him
thing,
staying as a kid in an adult body is fundamentally different.
Yeah.
So call him Shazam. That's fine. Or like, I kind of like the name Shazam better anyway.
Yeah.
But in the current Wade run, I think they do an interesting thing because they've sort of brought back the idea that it is more of an alter ego.
Yeah.
And they refer to him as the Captain, and that. But also, like, let's just like, the law panned out as it panned out.
I also
Marvel gets to call a character Captain Marvel, and they get to call a book Captain Marvel. So, like, fine. If you want to call, like, if we're back to that they're sort of two identities, call him Captain Marvel, I guess, if you want. But it sort of just makes more sense. Like, people call him Shazam. He calls him the Captain or something. Like, I kind of like that idea that, like, for him, the other personality's called the Captain, not called whatever. Like, I think that's totally fine. Like, this 100% does not bother me in any way whatsoever, but I'm also not, like, a diehard Captain Marvel fan.
I think I don't like the two personality thing. It's just weird to me. I don't like it.
I don't hate it. It's that idea that, like, you turn into, like, your full potential version of yourself, not just that it's you in a bigger body with some abilities or whatever.
Yeah.
But I also don't hate that version. I like,
sure,
but they're just fundamentally different.
Yeah.
But no, this never bothered me.
All right. Well, we'll go to the next question, which means we are going to leave Instagram and head over to Reddit,
where everyone's nice and no one's ever mean.
We'll answer those questions after this quick break.
Today's episode is sponsored by Factor. Factor's delicious, ready-to-eat meals make eating better every day easy. Wherever tomorrow takes you, be ready with pre-prepared, chef-crafted, and dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. You'll have over 35 different options a week to choose from, including keto, calorie smart, vegan, veggie, and more. And there's even more to enjoy with over 55 nutrition-packed add-ons that help make your weekly meal planning even more delicious. Fuel up fast with Factor's restaurant-quality 2-minute meals that are ready to heat and eat wherever you are. Discover a wide variety of easy options for the entire day, like breakfast, midday bites, and more. We've done the math. Factor is less expensive than takeout, and every meal is dietitian approved to be nutritious and delicious. Factor is the perfect solution if you're looking for fast, upscale options done easily. You can also get as much or as little as you need by choosing 6 to 18 meals per week. Plus, you can pause or reschedule your deliveries anytime. No prep, no mess meals. Factor meals are 100% ready to heat and eat, so there's no prepping, cooking, or cleanup needed. Get started today and have a feel-good week of meals ready to go. Head to factormeals.com/DrDC50 and use code DrDC50 to get 50% off. That's code DrDC50 at factormeals.com/DrDC50 to get 50% off. And now, back to the show.
And we're back.
Weird way to do the break.
I know.
Interesting.
Just happened that way.
Yeah. Just next time, just do it like mid me answering a question.
Well, that's a good idea.
No shit.
All right. Next question.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not I Noob Master 69.
Okay.
And we'll find out what they have to
say. that would be so funny. I love it.
What was a worse characterization for their respective character? Rick Grayson or Wally West in Heroes in Crisis?
I mean, Rick Grayson sucks, but at least he had a bullet in his head.
Yeah, did it have like a pentagram?
Yeah. It might as well have, because it was from hell.
Oh my god.
The Rick Grayson thing's interesting too, because I think the idea was that Dick would get shot and he'd be sort of out of commission for like a few issues, and then someone was like, what if we made this like 30 issues? And it's like, ugh.
Sure.
Like, it's just so fucking tiring. Yeah, Rick Grayson's bad. But
Is this like Fingers Grace?
Well, no, it's that he got shot in the head and he didn't remember who he was. And then when he woke up and then as he was learning who he was, he's like, I don't want to be that.
Sure.
But then, inevitably the pull of being good makes him more and more like that until finally, ultimately, he gets his memories back.
Sure, yeah.
He's back. He's Dick Grayson, baby. Yeah. But even just the hubris of being like, no, I'm Rick. I fucking hate that so much.
Yeah, I really don't like that. I mean, look, as a Richard, I get the pull to not want to be Dick, but Rick.
There's got to be a better way.
Yeah, Richard Grayson would have been the better way to do it.
Yeah, maybe. The Wally one is probably actually worse because it wasn't like, oh, this is like negative Wally or like reverse Wally or something like that. It was just actual Wally was like, oops, I accidentally killed all my friends. I guess I should cover it up and frame others. Like a thing Wally would never do.
You know what a reverse...
Like Rick has the excuse of being a different person.
Sure. Do you know what a reverse Wally is? It's when you do it like reverse cowboy, but you're really fast and so.
Yeah, nice. That's good.
Oh
man.
No, I reverse Wally.
Let's just say I reverse Wally all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Rick is just a bad character. And a boring idea.
Hey, the name is Rick.
And it's just not, it's not good, but at least he's his own. He was true to himself.
Yeah.
The Wally thing is like, we don't know what Wally is.
Yeah.
Or like, I have a story I want to tell, and I'm going to jam characters into it, whether or not they fit.
Who's that sound like?
King. You know?
Next question from Nameless Nerd Talk, who asks, what are your thoughts on 5G? Of what we've seen of their plans were going to be.
I hate that they put it in our vaccines.
What would... I hate that they were using the internet to read our minds.
Yeah. TikTok is owned by China.
Yeah. What would you bring into the mainstream? And what we've seen would you steer far away from?
Yeah.
What have we seen?
Yeah. So 5G was like this sort of aborted. It was going to be this new kind
Crisis.
of a reboot,
yeah.
reimagining of the timeline. That ended up being sort of the last thing Dan DiDio worked on before he was out the door.
We love DiDio.
I mean, listen, a flawed character, but certainly not an outright villain. He's
Sure.
also behind things that people
Yeah,
like.
just keep him away from the internet.
Did he say something?
I thought he said a bunch of shit.
Oh, I don't remember that. I think people just hated him because he just hates a bunch of characters that people like. Like he hates Dick Grayson and stuff like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yikes.
Although I might be wrong. Maybe DiDio also did something, but I wasn't.
Yeah, him and Grummet
Yeah,
together.
Yeah, did he do it?
Did he?
I didn't do it. Him on the stand.
Did he it or did he not do it?
Did he or not did he?
That is the question.
Yeah. The idea of 5G was literally that they were going to break the DC universe into sort of 5 generations. There would be the golden age heroes. There'd be the ones that came right after in the Silver Age. Your Batman, your Superman, your Hal, Barry, that kind of thing. There'd be the ones that came like Dick, Wally, Donna, like that kind of Garth, that sort of group. There'd be the ones sort of after that, like Jaime Reyes, Blue Beetle,
Sure,
the Tim Cassie Connor, something like that. And then there'd be like the new generation, the youngest ones. They were going to sort of basically it was a way to sort of put them in. They were going to put them on like an actual timeline, like with years, like when they happened and stuff like that, and try to set it so that it's like maybe some characters will start aging out or blah 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 blah. Which spiritually maybe not a bad idea, but so fundamentally, like, it's such a New 52 way of doing it, which is just like, what if we paint ourselves into so much of a corner
Sure.
by being so specific about the order of things and who goes where and what years was it, and blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, don't do that. You know what I mean? Like, the whole thing with the New 52 would be like, and it happened in 5 years. You go, 5 years? Batman's had 4 sidekicks in 5 years?
Yikes.
You know, like...
I think the authorities would have gotten involved.
Well, I mean, I'd
probably.
like to see them try.
Yeah, fair.
I am the authorities.
Now give me another kid.
Yeah, yeah. So there's I think the impetus of it, which is like, can we please put the focus on younger characters, people taking up the mantle? Can we be okay with the idea of a character retiring or something like that? Spiritually, a good idea. I think the approach to it was wrong. They were trying to cram it in through like, it was not getting its own special treatment properly. I think my problem with it is that it was sloppy patchwork kind of work. It wasn't really a thing that was like that made they weren't really building to it. It was like a fuck, can we do this? And I think it was just too sloppy for me. And the other thing is, like, the era that we're in right now is already, listen, we always have a ton of Bat books, but this is already so much better than the place we were in right before 5G, which was like almost only Bat books.
Yeah.
And so it just shows, like, you just need to just make things. It's not always about, like, the universe is wrong.
Yeah.
It's like, no, just make things.
Yeah.
It's fine. Like, we got Blue Beetle over here. We had a Fire and Ice mini. That was great. We got a Hot Girl mini. That was great. We got Justice Society over here now. We've got, like, there's, you know, we're introducing new characters. We got this new Wonder Woman run. We've got this new Trinity. She's kind of in the future, a new sort of daughter of Wonder Woman. Like, all these things are happening. There's a Power Girl book right now. There's, like, Poison Ivy is, like, a fucking great book. All sorts of, like, cool things are happening out there, and it's a great time to be reading things. And you don't have to tear the universe apart and blame everything but, like, your choices of publishing, you know? That's my biggest thing with the 5G thing. Is, like, these are serialized comics. It's the thing that even you said, like, it's going to change again. It's going to keep changing. So why would we go, no, that's 1970, or like, that's when this happens? Like, who gives a shit?
Yeah.
It's fucking fine. Like, just roll with it. And the approach that we're in is just like, just roll with it. Like, if you encounter a bump, like, I don't know, a crisis did it. You just kind of like, and it's so much freer. It's so much nicer to read a comic that way. I love it right now. I'm having a great time reading comics right now.
Was there anything that you would love to have brought into the mainstream from it? From 5G?
I mean, I think that some of the stuff that we did get from it was some of the Future State stuff. Future State ended up being a bit of a mini half event to use things that were going to be 5G. And so we did get some stuff out, like some of the direction for Green Lantern stuff, some of Yara Flor, Wonder Girl, the new Wonder Girl from the actual Amazon. She's one of the Escasita Amazons.
Escasita.
Yeah, that's a 5G thing. I'm pretty sure that got repurposed into Future State. Tim Fox as Batman in New York City.
Yeah, like
there's, we think we did get stuff out of it that way, but yeah, I mean, in general, you could leave like the concept. I think we did the right thing, which was like, take the ideas that will stick, let them stick, and we'll like sort of jettison everything else, right?
Yeah, exactly. All right. Next question comes from Just Takes One Bad Day 725, who asks, what are your thoughts on giving the Joker an origin story? As I feel we should never show his origin, I also enjoy the stories that have been told, i.e. The Killing Joke. If you could write a multiple choice story for his origin, what would you come up with?
Yeah, I mean, I fundamentally agree. I don't like the idea of the Joker having an origin. One of the things that I kind of hate the most about Three Jokers is Batman being like, yeah, well, sorry, careful. I hate the idea that that Batman does know who the Joker is, like what his origin is, who he used to be. I hate that that's known to Batman. Narratively, I do kind of like the idea of him being like, yeah, I know who he is. He knows who I am, but we're bigger than that now. You know, like,
Sure. Yeah,
like there's something like that narratively is still interesting to me, but I hate that he even figured it out.
Yeah.
I like the Joker as a sort of
Like chaos, like ent that just like showed up from nowhere. And
yeah, not that he literally showed up from nowhere, but I love that he just defies Batman's world.
sure.
That, you know, fine, crime is random, but a criminal always wants something. They're superstitious and cowardly. They're blah 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 blah. They have, you know, there are motives I can track, I can detect, I can blah 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 blah. And the Joker just throws all of that away. And a big part of being able to throw that away is like acting as a force and not as a person. Too much, if we know too much about the person,
It becomes easier to like track what they're gonna do, right? Like,
or even like, yeah, I mean, there's an element, yes, that, and then also, it's not even like he would be like, remember your teddy bear, and Joker would be like, I'm sorry. Like, it's not, I'm not worried about stuff like that, but it's just kind of like, what do we gain by it at this point? Like, if we had learned back in the day who Joker was, and that was just part of it, we would just move on. But we've gone so long, and I go like, so what do we gain? Why should we learn his origin? How does it help? Are we reforming the Joker? Because I think that's fucking stupid.
yeah.
At this point, like when it's not an Elseworld thing or something like that, like,
Or like a temporary thing. Yeah.
or it's like, you know, yeah, Martian Manhunter makes him sane for 15 minutes and then goes, I can't, he's too crazy.
Yeah.
You know, which happened before. Other than stuff like that, I go like, why? Why would we do this?
Mm-hmm.
And there's no real, I think, good reason for it. I do like the idea of him manipulating people, though, and making up origins is a great way of manipulating people. Harley or Punchline or, you know, the other villains, or, you know, like something like that. Like that, I think, is great. And so getting sort of different versions of, you know, does he come from an abusive household, or was he a failed comedian, or did he, you know, all like, do you know how I got these scars? Like,
Yeah.
I love that idea. I love a weird multiple choice kind of version of his origin. I think that's great. I don't know that I can come up with one. Certainly not one better than any of the ones that are out there, you know, from either, you know, Killing Joke or New 52 or Dark Knight or whatever. I don't think I have a better one than that. I like that idea, but I think the worst thing you could do to the Joker is give him a real name and a real origin, which they kind of did.
Yeah.
We're sort of blowing past it, but like technically, canonically, they did. And then what's happened since is that everyone else writing Batman is like, we can ignore that, right? It's sort of just like blowing right by it.
Sure.
Which is, I think, the smart thing to do, but like, it technically exists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if I was gonna, like I don't want him to have an origin.
I actually kind of got disappointed when we had more of an origin for Black Manta. I kind of liked that Manta barely had one. We kind of know too much about Manta now, in my opinion, but
I think if I was just gonna like off the cuff come up with a Joker origin, I might make it like it's Bruce. Like
What?
not, it's like a version of Bruce from somewhere else. Cause
that he's like fully from another world.
yeah. Because that way it's like it is literally the mirror reflect, and it's like had the same origin as him, and just went based on like no difference at all. He made a different choice.
Okay.
And so it's like the whole thing where it's like the line between the two of them is so thin that like he could have been him.
Well, here's an interesting thing out there, which is in the Zdarsky Batman run, Batman ends up on this other Earth where there is no Batman. And on that world, there's a character called the Red Mask, who is the Joker. Instead of the Red Hood, he's the Red Hood.
Sure, yeah.
But that one was like going through the multiverse, creating Jokers. Or some shit like that. He was like, there was a sort of element of like from the multiverse. He was like, no, this is cosmic.
Yeah.
It was sort of, there's something kind of fucked happening with that. This kind of thing that
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
touching on is like, there sort of is a version of this kind of cosmic tapestry thing. Not quite the same, but
because I think for me there's something in there that it's the reason why Batman hates this guy who's kind of just like a clown character so much is that like it is literally he hates him, and this is what's great about all Batman villains, which is like they're a part of what he hates about himself, and sure. I think that having his worst enemy be him, just with almost like there's almost no difference. He just chose to say that he's good.
Yeah,
I think it's interesting, but
I do like that idea that all of Batman's villains are like a reflection of something that he fears or dislikes about himself. Or something like that.
Yeah.
Like Small Dick Man.
Yeah. Wife's about to leave you, guy.
Thin calves guy.
Can't eat pussy guy.
Yeah, we call him Weak Tongue.
A weak tongue.
Yeah. Do you know who I really hate? Cream Face. rubbing it in.
How's he know?
Harvey Milk. Can we trust him?
You fucking love that so much.
Cream Face. Where's the other milk going?
Okay. Next question. Which
I guess you either die enjoying you die enjoying milk, or you live long enough to see yourself become lactose intolerant.
Did you see that thing the other day about that line? And Nolan drives Nolan crazy because his brother wrote it, not him.
The thing that I wrote,
and he didn't get it.
I might have written it to you, or I wrote it somewhere, which is like, so Nolan's like, oh, it drives me crazy that his brother, that his brother wrote
the
that.
best line. Yeah.
But he's like, I don't actually think it makes sense or whatever. But it's like, but Nolan doesn't have a problem with the I won't kill you, but I don't have to save you from Batman Begins. Just like, I don't know. I think you kind of do. It's sort of what Batman like.
Yeah.
I don't have to save you. Wait, what? Train crash.
Anyways, next question from Bangerang8, who asks, should Jason
It's me, Ra's al Ghul. I was walking up and down the desert looking for a Batman. Any Batman would do.
Should Jason have stayed dead? How would you have voted in the foam poll?
Listen, as far as characters staying dead in comics, Jason lasted a good long time. Jason was dead for 15 years or something like that.
Sure.
Not bad. Not bad, all things considered. 10 to 15 years. Not bad. I guess the question is, how would you have voted? Would you have voted for Jason to die? How do you feel about that idea of like the death of Robin?
That's fine.
I like it.
Yeah.
And unlike some of those refrigerator things we were talking about, this one is like, they set Jason up. Like, they put out a poll, people voted, blah blah blah. There's the controversy of the guy with the auto dialer thing, which I'm not sure if it's been debunked or not. But there's a whole thing that someone had an auto dialer, all this kind of stuff. But they it wasn't just like they were like, Batman and Robin are a perfect team and it's going great.
Sure,
and then I don't know, should we kill him next issue? It wasn't like.
That's very funny.
They weren't doing that. They had set up a story really that was funny. Playing into Jason's character of being impulsive, of being insecure, of thinking he needed to prove something to Bruce, of all of these of thinking he wasn't a good enough Robin. And they played that. And either way that poll would have gone, something would have happened that was exploiting that in Jason. So it was supported, right? So then to have Jason die there and have Bruce wear that, like, man, maybe I only got fucking lucky with Dick. Why would I make someone else rob him? Like, how did I, like, and then Bruce kind of descends, and then you think of all the good that comes out of that after. And I mean, I think it works with him dying.
Yes.
I don't think it only works with him dying.
No.
I think we've seen enough kind of other takes on Red Hood kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That we go like, no, he didn't even have to die there. But what I like is that story is about how Jason is a different Robin from Dick. Not explicitly, but it's in every piece of that. Is like we're playing against how Jason is different. He's a little more aggressive. He's a little less thoughtful. He's a little more, insecure. All of these kind of things, and
I love the way they did it on Titans.
Yeah, I mean, and they certainly play those characteristics on Titans. My only problem with that was that it was really hard to track the flow of time in that season.
That is the problem, yeah.
Because then I was like, has it been like a week? And then it was like, no, I think it's been months.
Yeah, no. You're 1,000% right.
But I agree, like, I think
the
Curran
portrayal is more
Walters,
of what I
like
mean,
the actor, I think he played
I thought it was perfect.
it really well.
Yeah.
I think that stuff was done really well.
Especially like when they first brought him in.
Oh yeah. Like even back in season 1 where he comes in as Robin, it's like, fuck you, Dick. I guess you've been replaced, baby.
I love that. Yeah.
So that stuff's all. I agree. I like that too. I might have voted for him to die too.
Yeah, me too.
Because I kind of like a big swing.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. With a crowbar.
Whoa! All right, let's leave Reddit and head on over to the Doc Scored. Doc Scored. Just go with it.
I saw your Doc Scored. It was back in 52.
Whoa!
I had a scored and then I doxed it all on you.
Okay.
And then I Doc Scored problems you can see.
Ow! Ow!
It was a Doc Score.
Ow! Ow!
But scored and just doxed.
Docs in the scored and scored in the dot. Nice.
Good. Hey, all you new listeners, strap in.
Yeah, there's new listeners.
Yeah, they've made it an hour and a half into this episode, and now I'm gonna.
And now they're like,
but they're about to leave. I need to rein it in.
Yeah, no. I'm sure at that point
we gotta get this on the rails.
Yeah, I liked all the controversial stuff you were saying, but this is too much.
Yeah. Controversial stuff I was saying.
Yeah, you're fucking unhinged in this.
I mean, I know how little you edit these episodes. I'm actually concerned about this one coming out.
Now they've never come back on us. It's fine.
Not a good reason.
Yeah, no one said anything yet. Feels like a reason to double down to me. I
don't know, man.
The moral
this close to being popular.
Yeah, we've been saying that for 7 years. The moral compass of the Doc Scored asks, explain the Eddie Berganza saga to me.
So Eddie Berganza was at one point like the editor-in-chief or executive editor, whatever they called him at DC Comics. He sort of had basically like a Weinstein thing. It was sort of an open secret that he was gross and gropey and would sexually harass and assault and stuff like that.
Yeah, we don't like that.
And even to the point where there was one that happened at like a convention with witnesses.
Jesus.
And he just like always just sort of like at one point they Catholic churched him. They just quietly moved him from his one job into
Blue Beetle,
a group editor. Well, no, still on fucking Superman.
Jesus.
Like huge kind of stuff. The thing that drives me nuts is when I open my CLZ where all my comics are, and you go comics by creator. Editors are creators, and so Eddie Berganza's like the number one.
Oh, so it makes
I love his work.
Yeah. Not really much into his comics.
Yeah, they're fine. I'm mostly collecting for him.
Yeah. Jesus. Christ.
I obviously don't mean that.
Jesus.
You and your fucking faux outrage.
You're bad.
How dare you?
I can't believe I'm gonna have to edit that out.
You just
Edit point.
Only put in. Only put in me saying that and be like, end of question.
Yeah.
And you go,
That's fucked.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, it was like that kind of thing for years. And like these, and like it was known. Some people had said stuff. Nothing ever happened. Like other women that worked at DC, like over time, as people were coming out and like sharing these stories, none of these people worked at DC anymore. So it had either, ruined their careers or they had left that industry because of like all of these like kind of broken, awful consequences of this absolute fucking monster. They finally, eventually, actually fired him because I think that it was getting too hot on the internet.
Sure, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it was absolutely not doing the right thing. I think there's maybe some question mark about whether, how much did the other execs know? Could they have fired? Like,
sure,
blah, blah, blah. But it's like, everything I've ever read has been like, it was an open secret.
Yeah, everybody knew.
Exactly like the Weinstein thing, basically. Pretty fucked.
Fuck that.
Pretty bad. Like, gross, awful.
Yeah.
He's a bad man.
Still love those books, though.
Number one on CLC. Jesus Christ.
From the Lord Your Butt, who asks, do you think DC did the right thing by finishing the print run of The Batman's Grave after the victims came forward about Warren Ellis?
So the Warren Ellis one is slightly different. This one, it's, what do they call it? Like sexual coercion.
Sure.
It was this thing where I guess he was, I'm going to say right now, I might be missing a couple of details. So I won't say that it wasn't sexual harassment or the stuff like the Braganza thing. Yeah. But what I will say is that it seems to be more publicly about that he was sort of like deceiving and misdirecting and abusing his power to carry on a bunch of relationships.
Sure.
Sort of non-consensually. Like they didn't know that he had all these other, like, you know what I mean? Like, and sort of abusing his power and stuff like that. Like being, I'm Warren Ellis, blah, blah, blah. Like, sort of wielding that in a sort of unhealthy, bad, toxic, coercive sort of way, manipulative way.
Yeah.
The Warren Ellis one, so a bunch of the victims came together and they sort of made a bit of a collective, and it was called like there's just so many.com or just so many of us.com or something like that, or so many of us.com. And they were making a space for them to share their stories and stuff like that. And at one point, Ellis had put out an apology when this all came out and he was getting kicked off stuff. He put out an apology. He was like, that was one of those things that was like, I certainly didn't think I was doing this, but I'm here to listen. Like it's the fucking Nick Kroll, John Mulaney bit about this stuff. And then I guess at one point he had reached out to that collective and they had posted some update that it's like, okay, well, he seems to want to try to work to redress these things, and he had said something about therapy and all this kind of stuff. So we'll go, and then like a while later, they posted an update that was like, he didn't do anything, and we don't think this is moving forward. So I who knows what that means, but it kind of looked like certainly looks like more of a shallow apology than a real life changing thing. Sure. Although I will say that he was publicly maybe a little bit more. It came off more like maybe he wanted to change, but I don't know. From what I read, it didn't look like very much happened with that. As far as should they have kept publishing a thing of his after this came out and he was sort of shit canned or whatever, I went and looked at that so many of us, just so many of us.com or whatever. and they have a FAQ thing. It's like, why did you make the website, and why did blah blah blah? And then one of the questions is like, is this cancel culture? And they respond and they say, it's not about that. They go like, it's, if you don't want to read anything by Warren Ellis again, that's up to you. But like, other people work on these things: pencilers, inkers, editors, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Their work doesn't need to be punished because of his actions. We want him to redress his actions and, like, you know, make right by the victims and stuff like that. It's not about like erasing his comic work from existence or something like that. So even like I think even based on that from the website, they would be like, yeah, like publish it. Like, other people worked on it. It's not only him. It wasn't like Warren Ellis with Warren Ellis and Warren Ellis, directed by Warren Ellis. Like,
that's always the challenge with.
But
those
even
types of
they
things.
would have been, I think, based on what I read, they would have been like, at least put it out. If people don't want to buy it because of that, then yeah, that happens. But it's, other people worked on it too, and they deserve to have their work seen. I think there was a bigger controversy, which was that after that Ellis thing came out, people still were agreeing to like work with him on new things, and it was like, shouldn't we find out if he's at all good before we sign on for projects with Warren Ellis, like indie projects or image projects or whatever with Warren Ellis? I think that was maybe even more controversial than, do we keep publishing a thing of his?
Sure.
You know,
it's
I don't know. It's all very tough. I certainly wouldn't pretend to have the one like right philosophy about it. I think there's just different ways of going about it. But in this context and from what I read, that's kind of what I gleaned.
Yeah. All right. Well, with that, let's take a quick break. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. This time of the year can be tough. It's cold and dark outside, and you feel like you're all peopled out. How do you set boundaries and give yourself the alone time you need? Most people don't have an endless social battery. Therapy can help you listen to your body and give yourself the time to recharge. In the past few years, I have made choices that have improved every part of my life, and I honestly wouldn't have been able to do any of it without therapy. Through therapy, I have gained confidence and learned to draw important boundaries. If you want to make things better or just a bit easier, or you want somebody to talk to, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, so it's easier to fit into any schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist. And you can even switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Find your social sweet spot with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/DrDC today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/DRDC. And we're back.
It was too long.
What?
You said it would be quick, man.
I mean, they don't know how long it was.
Oh.
Also, it's an ad, so we want it to be it felt like a breeze because how great the content was.
The content was fine, but like, I don't know.
Great.
Tighten it up a little bit. I think we could do that. That's fine.
The ad?
Yeah. Let's get to it.
Because, I mean, all right.
Can we do an Oops All Ads episode?
I mean, I like that idea.
Of course you do.
I don't have to do anything. Plus, it's just like...
If anything, you have to do more.
Well, no.
Much more editing.
No, I heard of the pre-made. I just dump them in. It takes like 2 minutes.
Well, only if we did like just I mean like a full episode's worth of
Yeah,
ads.
I can repeat those ads just back and forth.
No. I want us to book different enough different ads that we could do a full episode.
Oh, that's interesting.
And they're all mid-roll. Well, except for, I guess, for the first one and the last one. And it's a just ads episode.
I mean, I do love that idea.
An hour and a half of just us doing ad reads.
So you hear that, sponsors?
Possibly not even done independently. Just like,
no, I like that all
just lay out
live.
the sheets of paper.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
This was the
No.
Casper one. Here's the...
No. I love that idea.
I'm just throwing it out there.
Advertisers, also people who know
Yeah,
advertisers.
do you think that's good for your
Yeah.
for your brand?
Think about it like this. People are coming in knowing that it's all that, so they want it.
That's true. It's like a hook.
Yeah, rather than skipping past it, they're coming for that.
Yeah.
If anything, it's the best.
It's probably it's the best you'll get from us. Unless you're a real advertiser, in which case,
Yeah.
pull up a chair.
Yeah.
Stay a while.
Yeah.
When you're here, you're family.
That's right.
The Doctor Garden.
Yeah. The Doctor Hub.
What? Do you think that Pornhub's slogan is when you're here, you're... Oh, I get it.
There we is. Okay.
Oh, I see.
There he goes.
Right.
There we go.
Understood.
We'd love to hear from you residents. Do you have a question for next week's episode?
Yeah, baby. Next week, we're talking about Metamorpho.
Ooh, we like that guy. He's
I
cool.
love Metamorpho.
He's
Haven't
fun.
talked about him in a little while.
Yeah,
So let's throw him in there.
Wow. Have we never done a dedicated Metamorpho episode?
We've done episodes about characters that can transmute elements. I don't know if we've done a Metamorpho episode,
Okay.
but we're doing one next week.
We're doing Metamorpho fun.
Yeah, this is Franz Kafka's Metamorpho.
You reach out to us on our various social media platforms.
Dr. DC Podcast, wherever you see us.
We're there. You can use it. If it's there, it's because we are.
Hey, we're there. You can use it. And this is the kind of quality I'll be bringing to Oops All Ads.
And the quality that we'll be bringing to Toronto Comic Con.
Baby, we're going to be there March 15th to the 17th.
That's correct.
In Toronto.
That's right. And we will be doing live shows on Sunday night,
Oh, we've got a schedule now?
Sunday morning, and Sunday afternoon. Not night.
I was going to say, sorry, Sunday morning, Sunday afternoon, and Sunday night.
Nope. Nope. The Dr. DC panel, Sunday, March 17th, 11:15 a.m.
Panel or live show?
I think it's a live show.
No, let's deconstruct the show.
It's just that they call everything
I
a
see.
panel.
Yeah.
At Theater 4, room 202 CD.
Yeah, baby.
And if you're a Ghostfacers fan, we'll also be doing Sunday, March 17th at 1 p.m.
Yeah, I love it.
in Theater 3.
Love it.
So if you want to come out, make sure that you get your tickets now for Toronto Comic Con.
Yeah, at least for Sunday.
And if you want to spend even more money towards us, why don't you subscribe to our Patreon?
Patreon.com/DrDC. There's a $1, $5, $7 level. They all give you access to the Docscord, our amazing Discord fan community. At the higher levels, you get the double dose, our weekly bonus episode. And
Not one, but 2 doses.
if you can imagine. And at the highest level, the Golden Age tier,
so high.
there's bonus series. There's Toretto Talks, a totally unproblematic
controversy.
rewatch of Fast and Furious. And then there's also Bonding Time, a James Bond rewatch. And starting this month,
We're going to be going through all of Joss Whedon's movies,
yeah.
TV shows.
Yeah, last week the Cosby rewatch fucking joke. This month Cerebros will kick off. It's an X-Men rewatch done by me. And
Josh, we do agree with his opinion.
Oh, no, that's the name of the show? Oh, no. Oh,
We
no.
sure do love the things that...
I don't know, man.
So that's there.
Yeah, we're going to do our Roman Polanski watch-a-thon.
Our Roman Podlansky.
Roman Polanski. Yeah, it's the podcast we have to record from Europe. Jesus.
Also,
We're really laying the controversy in
that's
here.
what this episode's all about,
Yeah.
baby.
Poddy Allen.
Sure, that sounds like a different thing, but yeah.
Touche. Sorry, Tim Poddy Allen.
Yeah, he got that name in the clink.
No,
For
Coke.
yeah.
You gonna edit this big long pause out, or just keep it
No. It's another ad. Also, we're doing a live show for Ghostfacers.
What do you mean also? You said that already.
I know, but we also need to promote that that's a podcast that we have.
Oh.
Yeah, you see how I was trying to tie it back.
Yeah, okay. Take it again. I'm ready this time.
Remember how we said we were doing a live show?
Yeah?
Another one?
Yeah.
That's for Ghostfacers.
We already talked about this.
That's it for this week.
Adios.
Ciao, ciao.
All the superheroes, they always fight for what is right. Live with danger and adventure, they are men of might.
This was a Brain Freeze podcast.